Welcome to the 10th and final video of this training. We will be talking about the power of peer support and how starting the conversation about ways to protect our health and sharing resources for mental health support can build resilience in your population. The benefits of peer support in aviation is that it gives the pilot a need empathy from someone they can trust to talk to, someone who understands the strict regulations they have to comply with to ensure being healthy enough to fly. The peer helping another peer can help the one in need navigate difficult situations as an authentic listener and recommending what resources to turn to if the situation doesn't get better on its own. There are benefits that have been proven across meta-analysis research studies. These outcomes included increased self-esteem and efficacy, sense of control, empowerment, hope, belief in bringing about change in their lives, meaning the peer that's helping the other peer, a sense of belonging, social support, engagement in self-management, services, treatment, and community, and improved social functioning, quality of life, and life satisfaction. Further, peer support also resulted in decreases in hospitalization, self-stigma, psychotic symptoms, depression, substance use, and fewer feelings of social isolation. Most relevant research usually determines some positive results, although they may not have found support for all outcomes hypothesized. Clearly, not all who engage in peer support services will receive all these benefits. Each has a chance for some benefit from receipt of peer support services, although there was a lack of consistency across study outcomes. Confidential peer support and encouraging pilot access to appropriate care with cooperation from companies and regulators can increase the likelihood of treatment and improve aerospace safety, with the eventual goal of returning the pilot safely to the flight deck. Here's our trans-theoretical model of change again. This is to once again show you people are in different stages about being aware they need to change, let alone the added need for them to be motivated to change. With the layer of strong medical hesitancy in your population, you could become a role model of change or be inspired by those who choose to share what their goals are from this training or other behaviors that protect their health. You can inspire and support each other. Once again, I want you to decide where you are in the process of change and to see how you can move through the stages. I encourage you to take a picture of a screenshot of this slide if you haven't already, and the slide before this one to refer to as you decide to make goals and follow your specific plan. You will see how you will grow through these different stages. I believe this understanding can give you patience when you can identify where a person might fall within the process of change instead of expecting them to skip to the fourth step of wanting to start working toward a goal. I was so excited to find this peer support program that was created by a former student at the University of North Dakota for this same program at UND that began in the fall of 2022. You can check it out by going to upliftpeer.com. Although peer support programs have been widely and successfully implemented at airlines, they've been slower to arise at the university level. But more recently, faculty members of aviation colleges nationwide have been inspired by airline peer support models, as well as the UND students responsible for the creation of Uplift. You can look through their website, but I wanted to show you what getting help anonymously looks like through this resource if you were a student at UND. You don't have to put in your real name, but you do need to put in a phone number, and you can choose how urgent it is for someone to get back to you within 24 or 48 hours. It's optional to respond whether or not you are a CFI. A trained peer supporter picks up the case and reaches out through text to arrange a time to talk. The same trained peer will note only the general topic discussed. For example, relationship issues or academic stress, and debrief with the licensed psychologist to ensure proper advice was given. You can also choose what your major is and a few words about the nature of what you need to talk about. The chair of Uplift is Mark Volk Porter, and during the mental health symposium they had at UND, he posed a question to the audience. Let's say we have an engine that is showing high oil temperature and low oil pressure. Would we rather deal with that situation now, or would we rather deal with it as an engine failure? And he went on to say it's not a trick question. The students will quickly respond that they'd want to deal with it now while we still have an engine. And he goes on to say that they're right, of course. The question offers a deeper message that goes beyond the rules of flight. He says that same analogy can be used with almost anything in life. If I'm struggling with something, no matter what it is, I would much rather deal with it early on than shove it deep down inside and allow it to fester and blow up later. He says, we're here to give support to our fellow students whenever they need it. We want to help before anything becomes a bigger issue or before there's a diagnosis that could pause their career. Our hope is that our students are trusting and willing to use the services and resources that are here and meant for them. So Mr. Volk Porter, I'm going to quote him some more. He says, my main hope is that Uplift, the peer support program, becomes a tool for students to use to seek support when they need it most. During the conference that they have every fall, they had many presenters talked about early intervention and working through a problem early before it becomes a diagnosis. And I believe peer support programs are one of the most effective ways of doing that. A few more thoughts from Mr. Volk Porter is that he acknowledged that pilots' fears of a grounding medical diagnosis may be deeply ingrained, but sharing a stressful situation with a peer rarely leads to being grounded, and the program has seen an uptick in usage. You really need to take care of yourself, he said. Flight training will always be there. It's okay to take a break if you need it. And further in that article, if you want to look it up in my references, it said that the only reportable thing to the FAA is that if someone is talking to them about self-harm or harm to others. Let's look at an example of peer support through ALPA, or the Airline Pilots Association, is what was developed with a grassroots effort in the year 2000. Instead of a Mayday crisis call, PAN refers to something that can come on slowly and eventually overwhelm. This can include what pilots are facing with any aeromedical, psychological, and/or physiological changes. This PAN is staffed with pilot volunteers who take turns to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for confidential, anonymous support to help the caller know what their resources are and how to use them. This program requires less information about what your phone number is and what your role is in the aviation industry. PAN's goal is to help pilots to help themselves and to be mindful of their own mental health. The volunteers also have the goal of helping the caller safely navigate treatment of unfamiliar medical or mental conditions that could be perceived as career-ending. Additionally, peer support gives the pilot in need empathy and someone they can trust to talk to. Here's a list of core competencies that are involved when identifying its components in an updated article that I cited earlier that told us about the benefits of peer support. It was looking at articles about peer support as far back as the 1980s. This list helps us understand what peer support relationships can provide. The first one is that it engages peers in a collaborative and caring relationship, provides support, shares lived experiences of recovery, personalizes the peer support, supports recovery planning, it links others to resources, services, and other supports, provides information about skills related to health, wellness, and recovery, helps peers to manage crisis, values communication, supports collaboration and teamwork, promotes leadership and advocacy, promotes growth and development. This is the same quote that you saw in videos 1 and 9. It's abbreviated. It's important enough to repeat, and it relates to what the mission of the Pilot Assistant Network is. So it's the former administrator at the FAA, Stephen M. Dixon, and he was talking about pilots avoiding risk to keep flying. For many years, being honest about mental health has been one of those risky areas. I'm here to tell you that it's a perceived risk, though, and we're doing our best at the FAA to make that clear. So let's start with this. It is a misconception that if you report a mental health issue, you will never fly again. It's just not true. In fact, only about 0.1% of applicants for a medical certificate who disclosed health issues are ultimately denied a medical, and then only after an exhaustive attempt to get to yes. The important thing to stress to our pilots is to please ask for help when any symptoms begin and to treat the underlying conditions before your health degrades. The worse these conditions become, the harder it is for us to get you back in the air. This statement once again makes it clear that reporting symptoms, getting help, and protecting your health are what the FAA expects, because you wouldn't want your condition to get worse, because it can become harder, not impossible, but harder to become rehabilitated. All right, we're to the key takeaways of this video. There is power in peer support. Peer support can help people get the resources they need in a timelier manner to avoid worsening health or even death. Change is a process to be mindful of when helping a peer or even just being patient with yourself. Peer support programs exist at the aviation program level that can inspire what you could do at your institution. Peer support programs exist within ALPA, which again could inspire ideas that could help locally there at your institution. All right, I got a few questions for you to consider before you are done. What ideas have you gotten from this video for creating an organized peer support program at UVU? It can be something that's formal, like the Uplift peer model at UND, or something more informal, like starting conversations. In what ways can you be a role model of this training to support your peers and colleagues? And can you see if it will benefit your health as well? Your last questions and some thoughts to consider. Where do you fall in the trans-theoretical model of change in making SMART goals to protect your health with lifestyle medicine? How can you become more motivated? And I want to remind you to make fewer goals rather than a ton. Don't overwhelm yourself. Prioritize the things that need to change first. Recruit a friend. It can be a lot more fun if you do it with someone else. It helps you to become accountable, and you can reward yourself. This stuff isn't all drudgery, I promise. There are delicious foods and really fun workouts, and you can really impact your health now and for the future. I hope this training has at least brought awareness of the medical hesitancy that exists in the paid pilot population, and also that it gave you some inspiration that you have control to protect your health in the many small decisions you make that impact your health with concepts from lifestyle medicine. As I said before, lifestyle medicine is a medical specialty, so it is possible to seek a health care provider certified in lifestyle medicine to get personalized support past this training. I sincerely thank you for watching these trainings and hope for nothing but the best for you now and in your futures. Take good care.